Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is SidAlpha, and I'm coming to you today to discuss with you a game which has been all over the news lately. Hatred, a game recently released by Destructive Creations. Now this game has been extremely controversial, mainly because of the game's entire premise. For those of you unfamiliar with it, Hatred is about a man who's gone insane, essentially, and decides that humanity is the scum of the earth, and he's going to go kill as many people as he possibly can before he gets taken down by the police. That is the entire premise of the game, and every goal in the game seems to be geared specifically towards those ends. Now, this game, like I said, the controversy has been going back and forth on this game for a few months now. Mainly, first, when the premise of the game was first released on what it would be about, there was a huge backlash of people saying this game shouldn't even exist. Now, I am actually going to address that for a moment, because it did happen quite a bit. A lot of people said this game should not be allowed to exist. And that, I'm sorry people, is wrong. This is an artistic creation just like any other video game. They had a clear vision in mind when they were creating the game, and you're stating that this game should not exist impedes and impugns on the creator's freedom of speech. So with this game, the fact that this game exists, I have no problem with. I really don't. I mean, just like with any other games, you got to take the good with the bad, and sometimes there can be a bit of a bitter pill to swallow. But when it comes right down to it, you can decide on what game you want to play. You can hate on Hatred all you want. That's fine. Don't play it. Don't buy it. Don't download it. That's your decision as a consumer. And, typically that is the strongest point you will ever make with a game developer or any type of content creator such as this. If you choose not to consume their product because you don't like the premise, or you don't like the mechanics, or you don't like the graphics, that is telling them something. That is making a statement right there. You don't have to go out and raise your picket signs and say this game does not have a right to exist, because in fact it has every right to exist. And also, to continue on with that line of thinking, Valve actually pulled this game off of Greenlight for a short period of time. Granted, that takedown did not last very long, and the game, of course, did end up back on Steam. Steam is actually where I got my copy of the game, which you are viewing now. And also, in what seems to be in reaction to this, Twitch seems to have gotten involved recently. What seems to be in direct response to this game's release, put out a ban on streaming AO-rated games, which is AO is adults-only content. Typically, not very many games actually get that AO rating, but Twitch seems to have banned this game from streaming. They don't want this game on their channel, and that's okay. They have every right to do it. They have every right to say, I don't want this game streamed on our network. Just like when Steam pulled down Hatred, Valve pulled down Hatred, they had every right to do so. They decide what they choose to sell, or what they choose to think of them as an actual store, because that's exactly what they are. They choose what to put on the shelves. And if they choose not to put the game on the shelf, there's not really anything wrong with that. It's their decision. But that laying aside, like I said, going back over it, this game has had a lot of controversy back and forth. A lot of people rushing to its defense, stating that it definitely should exist, and it's perfectly fine because the freedom of speech and all that. That's all well and good. That's your opinion, but it is out there, and let's take, we are looking at the game right now, so let's go over what this game is actually like. What does it bring to the table as a game? Well, first off, as you can tell, it's a top-down twin stick shooter. It does have keyboard and mouse controls, but I have to tell you right now, these controls, at least at the time of release, were janky as fuck. They really were. I mean, use the WASD keys to move your sprite around, and then the mouse to aim your weapon, and the left shift to run, and that also allows you to jump over objects. And the way you have to move in this game, it is actually very difficult to get around in. And I really do hope that the creators of Hatred release a patch to change the keyboard and mouse mechanics to something more to a more acceptable level, because as they are right now at this moment, it is very, very difficult to play this game in any form of smooth fashion with a keyboard and mouse, and it is quite distracting from the gameplay, and it will get you killed in the game. Now, in this game, obviously, you have to go around shooting everyone in sight, basically. And to be honest, I don't see what all the hype was about. I really don't. I mean, yeah, it's a bit graphic, but it's not super graphic. It's not overly graphic. You know, I don't feel uncomfortable at all playing this game. I really don't. I mean, they could have easily just put in zombies instead of people, and it would have had the exact same effect on me. And this game isn't too different from a lot of other top-down shooters as far as those style and mechanics go. It's not too terribly original. The graphics are about what I've seemed to have come to expect from most indie devs, actually slightly better, but they are very on par for most indie games. And, you know, stability-wise, the game running, I have yet to encounter any crashes. I've been playing the game for about 4 to 6 hours to try and get as good a look at it as I can. I will note, however, you will die in this game a lot. You really will. And I think a lot of that is, and I didn't put it on easy mode. I left it on hard difficulty, which still isn't too terribly hard. It's really not. I think the way the difficulty of this game is, I think if and when they fix the keyboard and mouse controls, even a person who's casually familiar with top-down shooters like this would easily be able to hold their own on the hardest difficulty level. And further on, looking into the gameplay, you will note there are some finishing moves that you perform on your victims, and these are not overly graphic. They're really not. Actually, I've seen much more gore and blood and guts in a lot of other games. Dead Island, Mortal Kombat, a whole host of other games have had much more raw gore in them than this. So I really don't see much of a problem with this game. I think it's pretty safe to say the initial hype just really does not hold up. It's not that bad. I mean, it's not a great game, to be sure. I mean, it's definitely not something I think I will continue playing just because I'm not a fan of it. But that has nothing to do whatsoever with the overall premise of the game. It's the simple fact that I'm not a big fan of top-down shooters to begin with, and I'm not a fan of how the controls react. Other than that, you know, the game is stable. The graphics, I think, are, for all intents and purposes, fine. You know, they get the job done, but the game mechanics are a little bit wanting, and the controls, like I said, are wonky. Trying to drive a car, that will drive you insane enough to want to kill a few more of the people in the game. I can tell you that much right now. But, like, you know, this isn't going to be a true first impressions or anything like that, and I'm not going to bother to take the time to do a full-on review of the game, because, frankly, this game is right now at this moment as popular as it is because of the hype and the controversy that was created before the game's release, and I think that this will quickly fade into history, being most likely barely remembered as a very average game overall. So that being said, this has been Hatred by Destructive Creations, And if you like my videos and like what you see, please remember to like, favorite, and subscribe. Please feel free to let me know what you think of Hatred in the comments below. And don't forget to tell your friends about me. I am a fairly new channel still, and I would like to see a bit more growth. But then again, that's entirely up to you. So, that being said, this has been SidAlpha, and I'll see you next time.